Hey guys, welcome back. In this video I'm going to show you how to play a fingerstyle arrangement of night changes. So let's get into it. So for this arrangement we are in standard tuning and you need to put a capo on the second fret of your guitar. Also all the tabs for this are available on my Patreon page. If you want them, check out the link down below. It really helps support my channel. So the song has a few different parts. Let's start off with the intro. So there's two ways you can play the intro. One is you can use the harmonics to play it. And just in case you find it difficult to play it with the harmonics, I'll show you an alternate way of playing it as well. So the intro with the harmonics sounds like this. So it's actually really easy if you already know how to play harmonics. If you don't, I'm going to explain it. So the first note that I'm playing is actually the harmonic on the 7th fret of the G string. It's the 7th fret if you count from the capo. So if you don't know the technique, what you have to do is you have to take your index finger and you have to slightly rest your index finger right above the metal fret, the 7th fret here, this thing, right above that. So it shouldn't be on the fret. It has to be above the fret wire like that. And you don't fret the note, you don't push down like you play a normal note on the guitar. You just rest your finger over there. So if you do it correctly, after resting the finger on the 7th fret of the G string right above the fret there, play the G string with the right hand there. That should be the sound that you get. It shouldn't sound like the open string or the actual note on the 7th fret, but the harmonic should sound like this. Like that. So there, right after playing the first harmonic, you have another harmonic on the 12th fret of the G string. So we're still on the G string there. So first you're playing the 7th fret harmonic and then the 12th fret. The 12th fret, of course, when you count from the capo. And right after those two, you have to play another harmonic. And this one is on the 7th fret of the D string. So you have this. And then you play the harmonic on the 12th fret of the G string again. That one. So all together you have this now. And you just have to repeat that. Like that, and it happens 4 times. So you play the 4 harmonics for a total number of 4 times. I'll play the whole thing. Like that. So that's the intro with the harmonics. If you can't play that, or if you're finding it difficult, I'd recommend you play it this way. It's all the same notes really. So on the left hand I'm holding this chord. So here I have the 5th fret of the D string here, and I have the 2nd fret of the G string and the 3rd fret of the B string. I'll repeat that again. 5th fret of the D, 2nd fret of the G string and 3rd fret of the B string. So on the right hand I'm playing this. So I'm starting with the B string, then I'm playing the D string, then the G string, and then the D string again. So you have this. And you just repeat that. So you can use this as an alternative to the harmonics. So that's the intro. I'll play the whole thing once. It sounds like this. I'll play it with the harmonics first and then the second way. And the second way. That's it. After that we have the verse. I've divided it into 2 halves. Let's start with the first half of the verse. It sounds like this. So we start off with this chord, which is a G add 9 chord. You just need to hold the 3rd fret of the low E string and the 2nd fret of the G string. So while holding the chord on the right hand, you play this, where you're playing the low E string, the open D string and the G string together with a roll like that. And then you have this part. So there you need to play the open B string 2 times, then the G string, and then the open B string again. So all together with the roll we have this. And after that you have this part. So here now you're plucking the low E string, open D string and the G string all together. Plucking them all at once. And then you're playing the open B string 2 times. Like that. And when you add this with the previous part, you get this. And then you have this part. So there you just let go of this note. So now you have the open G string. And then you hammer on onto the 2nd fret of the G string. Like that. Then you play the open B string 2 times. And then you play the open D string in the end. So all together from the first part you have this so far. And then you have this part. So there you're changing from the G add 9 chord to this chord, which is an E minor 7 chord. So you need to hold down the 2nd fret of the D string with the index finger and the 3rd fret of the B string with the ring finger. And you start by playing this. So on the right hand you play the low E string first, which is open. Then you play the D string, then the B string, and then the D string again. Like that. And then you do this, where you play the note on the 2nd fret of the G string with the middle finger, and then you pull off to the open G string. Like that. I'll play that again. And after that you have this part. So there you're adding this. So you're playing the low E string, which is open, and the 3rd fret of the B string together first. And then you're playing just the B string 3 more times. And then you're doing this. So there you play the note on the 2nd fret of the G string, pull off to the open G string, and play the open G string again. So all together with the previous part, it sounds like this. And after that you have this. So here you're changing from E minor 7 to B minor 7, which is like this. Basically you need to hold down the 2nd fret of the A string and the 2nd fret of the G string. So you start by playing this. So you start by plucking the A string and the G string together. Then you play the open B string 2 times. Like that. And then you play this, where you play the G string, then the B string, then the G string, then the B string again. So all together you get this. And then you add this part. So while holding the chord, you play the G string, then the open B string, and then the G string again. And then you do this. where you just play the open G string and immediately hammer on onto the second fret of the G string. So altogether you have this. And if you play it with the previous part, and then you add this part. So here you're changing to a D sus4 chord and you're playing the same kind of idea that you played in the intro. So here you have the 5th fret of the A string, the 5th fret of the D string, the 2nd fret of the G string and the 3rd fret of the B string, and you have to hold it like this. So you have to play the 5th fret of the A string with the ring finger, then the 5th fret of the D string with the little finger, index plays the 2nd fret of the G string, and your middle finger plays the 3rd fret of the B string. And on the right hand you play this. So first you start by plucking the A string and the B string together. Then you play the D string, then the G string, and then the D string again. So altogether you get this. I'll do that again. And right after that you just have to repeat this idea 3 times. So right after you played this, then you play this part. So there you're playing the B string, then the D string, then the G string, and then the D string again, and you're repeating that. Like that. So altogether you have this on the D sus4 chord. So that's the first half of the verse. I'll play the whole thing once. It sounds like this. So the second half of the verse sounds like this. So the second half of the verse has only one little change. It's the part on the B minor 7 chord. So you have this now. So again on the B minor 7 chord you have the 2nd fret of the A string and the 2nd fret of the G string. On the right hand you start by plucking the A string and the G string together first. Then you play the open B string 2 times. Then you play the G string, then the B string, and then the G string again. Like that. And after that you play the open B string 2 more times. Like that. And then you do this. So there you're playing the G string, then the open B string, then the G string again. And then you're playing the open G string and hammering on onto the 2nd fret of the G string. You played this part earlier. Like that. I'll play that again really slow. And after that you switch back to this part. Which is exactly the same as before. So altogether the second half of the verse sounds like this. And if you play the entire verse, the first half and the second half together, you get this. And after that we have the chorus, which sounds like this. So we start off with the C major chord on the left hand. So you have the 3rd fret of the A string, the 2nd fret of the D string, the open G string, and the 1st fret of the B string. On the right hand you start by playing this, where you're playing the A string first, then the D string, and then you slap and ring the chord, like that. So if you don't know that technique, I'll try to explain it really briefly. So what you're doing there is you're ringing the strings using this motion with the index finger. And at the same time you're slapping your thumb onto the lower strings. You're doing both of them together like this. Like that. So altogether you have this. I'll do that again. And right after that you play the note on the 1st fret of the B string. So you just play the B string again, right after the slap, like that. And then you have this part. So there you're plucking the A string and the B string together while holding the chord. Like that, you plug them both together, and then you lift this finger up, so now you have the open B string, and you play just the open B string there, like that, and then you slap and ring the chord. So there you're slapping and ringing the D, G and B strings, these three, like that. So altogether, if you add this with the first part, you get this. I'll do that again really slow. So altogether, if you add this with the previous part, you get this. I'll do that again. And then you have this part. So here you're changing the chord to this, which is actually your D major chord. So now you're holding the 5th fret of the A string, the 4th fret of the D string, and the 2nd fret of the G string. And on the right hand you start by playing this, where you're plucking the G string first and then the A string while holding the chord. And after that you slap and ring the note on the 4th fret of the D string, like that. I'll play that again. And then you lift this finger up and play just the open G string after that. And then you bring your index finger back in onto the 2nd fret of the G string and you play that note. One more time. And in the end you just add this part. So there you're slapping and ringing the 4th fret of the D string and the 2nd fret of the G string together. You're playing them with the slap. And then you're playing this note, the note on the 5th fret of the A string. Like that. So all together you get this. One more time. And if you play it from the start, from the C major chord, you get this. And after that you just have to repeat this part 2 more times. So altogether you get this. And after that you have this part. So here you start with the G major chord first. So you just hold the 3rd fret of the low E string with the middle finger. And on the right hand you play the low E string, the open G string and the open B string together. Like that, you plug them together. And then you slap and ring the G and B strings, both of which are open. And then you play the bass note again, the note on the 3rd fret of the low E string. Like that. And then you change the chord to this. So here you have a D major over F sharp. So on the left hand you just have to hold the 2nd fret of the low E string, the 2nd fret of the G string and the 3rd fret of the B string. And on the right hand you play this. So first you plug the low E string, G string and the B string all together. And then you slap and ring this portion of the chord, the G and B strings. So altogether you get this. And then you change the chord to this. So here you have an E minor chord where you just need to hold down the 2nd fret of the D string. On the right hand you start by plucking the low E string, which is open, the D string and the open G string all together. So you get this. And then on the E minor chord you have this. So right after you plug the chord, you slap your thumb onto the lower strings and then you do this. So there you're playing the open B string, then you're playing the note on the 2nd fret of the G string, and then you're lifting it up and slapping and ringing the chord. So there you're slapping and ringing the 2nd fret of the D string and the open G string, these two together. You're playing that with the slap. So altogether you get this. And from the start. So altogether from the beginning of the chorus we have this so far. And after that you have this. So here you're kind of repeating the same idea that you played before, but the rhythm of some of the notes are a little different. So the first chord remains the same. And then you change to the second chord and here the rhythm is slightly different. So you start off by playing this. So you start by playing the G string, then the A string, then the D string, and then you slap. And after that you have this part. So there you have the open G string first, then you play the A string, and then you play the second fret of the G string, like that, and then slap. So all together from the start. I'll play that again. And then you have this part. So there you play the open G string, then the A string, and then again the second fret of the G string. And in the end you just add a slap. So all together from the start you have this. And in the end you just add a bass note. So you just play the A string again, like that. I'll play that again. And if you play it from the previous chord, and right after that you have this part. So again, slightly different rhythm. So on the C major chord you start off just like earlier. Play the A string, D string, slap and ring the chord, then the B string. And then you have this part. So there you plug the A string and the B string together first. Then you lift this finger up, so now you have the open B string. And then you slap and ring the open G and open B strings, these two together. You play that with a slap. So all together you get this. And then you have this. So here on the D major chord, you plug the A string and the G string together first. And then you play the D string in between. Then slap. And then you have this part. So there you're playing the open G string, then the A string, then the second fret of the G string, and then slap. Like that. And in the end you just play the bass note, the note on the A string. So far from the start you have this. And after that you just have to play it again one more time, but this time you play it in the way that you played it the first time. Like that. So I'll again repeat the three combinations that you have to play this part in. And then you just repeat that part. And if you play it from the beginning of the chorus, we have this so far. in the end you just add this part. So it's just like how you earlier played the C major chord. And then you change to the D major. You play the G string first and then the A string. And then you change to this chord. So here in the end, while holding the D major chord, I'm bringing in my little finger onto the 4th fret of the D string and I'm playing that note 3 times. And then I'm changing to this chord. So there, this finger stays on the note on the 4th fret while the rest of the fingers change position. So you're changing from the D major chord. First you're adding this, the note on the 4th fret of the D string, and then you're changing the chord to this. So here you have the 3rd fret of the low E string, the 2nd fret of the G string, and the 3rd fret of the B string. And then you play this part. So here you have to first plug the low E string and the B string together. And then you do this, where you play the D string, then the G string, and then the D string again. Like that. So again from the D major chord you have this. And then you just repeat this part 3 times like that. So there you're playing just the B string, then the D string, and then the G string, and then the D string again. And then you're repeating this. So all together again from the D major chord you have this. So that's the whole chorus. I'm going to play the whole thing again. It sounds like this. And after this chorus, the song goes back into the verse, which is exactly the same as earlier. And then you have the chorus again, which is also exactly the same as earlier. After that, we have the bridge. I'm going to play it once from the last part of the chorus so that you get a reference how it changes from the chorus into the bridge. So it sounds like this. So right after the very last part of the chorus, then you change to this chord. So here you have to hold down the 2nd fret of the D string and the 2nd fret of the G string with the index finger. And on the right hand you're plucking the open A string, D string and the G string together. Like that. And then you have to play this. So right after you plug the chord, you just slap and then you play the bass note again, the open A string. Like that. I'll do that again. And then you change to this chord. So here you're changing to the 2nd fret of the D string and the 1st fret of the G string. You just have to hold on to those 2 notes. And on the right hand you start by plucking the D and G string together. Like that. Just the D and G string. You don't pluck it with the A string. Just those 2. then you slap, and then you play the bass note, the open A string. So altogether you get this. I'll do that again. One more time slower. And then you have this part. So there you have to extend your little finger and you have to hold the note on the 4th fret of the D string. You play that note, so you play the D string there, then slap, and then you play the open A string. Like that. So altogether you get this. One more time. And then you just add this part. So there with the little finger you're holding the 4th fret of the D string, and with the index finger you hold the 2nd fret of the G string. On the right hand you pluck the G string and you slide from the 2nd fret to the 1st fret. Like that. And after that you try to play this note, the note on the 4th fret of the D string, but with the slap. And then in the end you play the note on the 1st fret of the G string. Like that. So altogether you get this. And if you play it from the start, and then you change to this chord. So here you have this. So on the left hand you're holding the 2nd fret of the low E string and the 4th fret of the D string. So on the right hand you start by plucking the low E string and the D string together first, and then you slap like that, and after that you add this. So you play the low E string 2 times, then the D string once, and then slap. So all together. And after that you have this part. So you pluck the low E string and the D string together, and then you pluck just the D string, and then slap in the end. So all together from the start we have this. I'll do that again. And after that you have this part. So you play the low E string now, which is open, and then you do this. The same thing that you did earlier. You play the slide, slap and ring the 4th fret, and then play the 1st fret of the G string. I'll do that again. So all together from the last chord you have this. And then you have this part. So here you change to this D major chord shape where you have the 5th fret of the A string, 4th fret of the D string, and the 2nd fret of the G string. On the right hand you start by playing this. You pluck the A string and the D string together, then slap, and play the bass note again, the A string. And then you have this, where you play the note on the 2nd fret of the G string, then slap, and then play the bass note again, the A string. Like that. So altogether you get this. One more time. And then you have this chord. So here you're changing to this chord, which is actually a portion of an E major chord. Here you have to hold down the 2nd fret of the D string and the 1st fret of the G string. So on the right hand you start by plucking the low E string, which is open, the D string and the G string together. Then you slap. Then you play the bass note, the low E string 2 times, and then you pluck just the D and G strings together. like that. So altogether you get this so far on this chord. And after that you slap, and then you play the bass note, the low E string again in the end, like that. So from the last chord you have this. So that's the whole bridge. I'll play the whole thing once. It sounds like this. After that we have a variation of the verse. We are going to call it the special verse. So the special verse sounds like this. So you start off with this chord. So on the left hand you have the second fret of the G string, which you have to hold with your index finger. On the right hand you start by plucking the open A string, G string and the open B string together with a roll, like that. And after the roll you add your middle finger onto the second fret of the B string and you play that note 2 times. So altogether you get this. And after that you play the open B string again, and then the second fret of the B string again one more time, like that. And right after that you have this part. So just like earlier, you start off with a roll first, and then you add your middle finger onto the second fret of the B string, play that note twice, and then you have this. So there you're hammering on with your little finger from the second fret, which you're holding with the index finger, to the fourth fret of the G string. And after that you play the note on the second fret of the B string twice. So altogether you get this. I'll do that again. And if you play it from the start, and then you have this part. So there you're changing the chord to this, where you're holding the second fret of the low E string with the thumb, and you're also holding the second fret of the G string. On the right hand you start by playing this. So there you're playing the low E string first, then you're playing the open high E string, then the open B string, and then the second fret of the G string. Like that. I'll do that again. And then you have this part. So here you plug the low E string and the open high E string together first, and then you plug just the open high E string 3 more times after that. So altogether you get this. And then you have this part. So there you plug the open B string, then you play the note on the second fret of the G string 3 times. So altogether you get this. I'll do that again. So again, if you play it all the way from the very beginning, you get this. And then you have this part. So here you're changing the chord to this, where you're holding the 4th fret of the A string, the 4th fret of the G string, and the second fret of the B string. So you start by playing this. You plug the A string and the G string together. Then you plug the B string 2 times. Then you play the G string and then the B string. Like that. I'll do that again. And then you add this part. So there you're playing the G string and then the B string. Then you're playing the G string, B string, G string and B string again. Like that. So altogether you get this. And in the end you play the G string 2 times. And you play the low E string which is open. Like that. So altogether you have this. So that's the special verse. I'm going to play the whole thing again from the start. It sounds like this. And after that we have a chorus which also has a variation. So we are going to call this the ending chorus. So it sounds like this. So we start off by playing this. So on the left hand you have a D major kind of chord shape where you're just holding the second fret of the G string and the third fret of the B string. On the right hand you start by plucking the open D string. Then you play the G string. And then you slap and ring these two, the G and the B strings. Like that. And after that you play the note on the third fret of the B string again. And after that you have this part. So there you're plucking the open D string and the third fret of the B string together first. Then you change to the second fret of the B string. Play just that note. And then slap and ring the chord. So all together. I'll do that again. And right after that you have this part. So here you change the chord to this, where you're just holding the second fret of the D string and the first fret of the G string. And on the right hand you start by playing this. You play the B string first, which is open. And then you play the low E string, which is also open. And then you slap and ring this part of the chord, the D and G strings. Like that. And right after that, you add this part. So there you're adding your ring finger onto the second fret of the G string. You're playing that note, so you're playing the G string. And then you're playing the low E string, which is open. And then you're playing the open B string. Like that. And after that you have this part. So there you're slapping and ringing this part of the chord, the D string, G string and the open B string. And then you're playing the low E string. Like that. So all together. So all together you have this so far. And you just have to play this part 3 times in a row. And then you have this part. So here you start with an A major chord, so you're barring and holding the second fret of the D, G and B strings with the index finger like that. So on the right hand you plug the open A string, the G string and the B string together. And right after you plug the chord, you slap and ring the chord after that. And after that, play the bass note again, the open A string. Like that. And after that you have this. So you're switching to this chord where you're holding the 4th fret of the low E string, the 4th fret of the G string and the 5th fret of the B string. So on the right hand you plug the low E string, G string and the B string together. Like that. And after that you slap and ring these to the G and B strings. Like that. So all together you have this. And then you change to this chord. So here you have an F sharp minor chord where you're barring the 2nd fret with the index finger starting from the low E string all the way up till the high E string. And your ring finger plays the note on the 4th fret of the D string. So on the right hand you start by plucking the low E string, D string and the G string together. And after that you slap and ring the D and G strings. Like that. And then you have this part. So there you're holding the F sharp minor chord, but you're bringing in your little finger and you're holding the note on the 4th fret of the G string there. And on the right hand you play this. So you're playing the B string, then the low E string, and then the G string. So you have this. And after that you lift this finger up, so now you have these two, the 4th fret and the 2nd fret of the D and G strings, and you slap that and ring that chord. Like that. So all together from the start you have this so far. And after that you kind of have to repeat this part again. But there you have little changes to the rhythm. So you're playing this. Instead of what you were playing the first time. It's slightly different. So you start off the same way. And after that you have this. So you have the same exact chord. You start by playing the open B string first. Then you play the low E string. Then you play the note on the 1st fret of the G string. Then slap and ring the chord. And then you have this. So there you're adding the ring finger on the 2nd fret of the G string, play that note, then play the low E string which is open, and then the open B string. So altogether you have this. And then you slap and ring the chord and play the bass note. And the next time you have this part. So again you have the D major chord shape. You start by playing the open D string, then the 2nd fret of the G string, then slap and ring the chord, then you play the note on the 3rd fret of the B string. And then you have this part. So there you plug the D string which is open and the 3rd fret of the B string. Then change to this chord and slap and ring the chord. So here you have the 2nd fret of the G string and the 2nd fret of the B string. So all together. And then you have this. So here this time you plug the low E string and the open B string, both of them are open, together first. Then you play the 1st fret of the G string. Then slap and ring this part of the chord. Like that. And then you have this. So there you play the 2nd fret of the G string, so you're bringing in your ring finger. Then you play the low E string and then the open B string again. Like that. And then you have this. You slap and ring the chord and then play the bass note. Like that. So all together. And after that you have this part. Which is exactly the same way that you played it the first time. And then you have this part again, which is exactly the same. So all together from the start, so far we have this. And then you have this little part. So you start off the same way on the D major chord. And then you have this. So there on the left hand you start with this chord again, where you have the 2nd fret of the D string and the 1st fret of the G string. You start by playing the open B string. And then you play the low E string, like that. And then you add your ring finger on the 2nd fret of the G string and you play that note 3 times. And then you play the bass note, the open A string in the end. So you get this. So all together. And if you play it from the previous chord. So that's the ending chorus. I'll play the whole thing once. It sounds like this. So those are all the different parts that you need to play this song. Now let's discuss the song structure. So we start with the intro, then we have the verse, and then we have the chorus. After that we have the verse and the chorus again, both of which are exactly the same as earlier. Then you have the bridge, and after that you have the special verse and then the ending chorus. So that's the whole song. Thank you so much for watching, and a very special thanks to all the people that support me on my Patreon page who make it possible for me to continue making these videos. All the tabs for this and all my other videos are available on my Patreon page. If you'd like to see more videos like this one, then subscribe to my channel. Also, if you have any questions or requests for song tutorials, let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. I'll see you in the next video.